This is the Jones Storm Chaser. It's a board we've ridden many a year now. This is the 47, and just thought we'd put it on the table since the old review still stands, but we might as well put this 2020 under the pretty lights. So you can see, just like the old board, it's got a big nose, a decent amount of taper, but not a massive amount of taper. I think it's only like 20 mil if memory serves me correctly, but check the specs below. You can see though, it's just not, you know, the tail isn't like super tapered when you look at it compared to some boards in this category. But look how far back you are on the tail. This really truly is surfy in a lot of aspects. And then you have, you know, a pretty Jones-like side cut, but you've got such an interesting camber profile. There's surf rocker. It's a little loose, but there is a stable section, kind of like to about here, and then just a massive amount of rocker and a little bit of early rise in the tail, kind of surf rocker, but then lifted sides too. And I'm going to try to show you that right now. And you can see there is definitely some curvature going on with this board. And then if I put out the tail here, you can see how that curves here. Just comes right down. So there's definitely a lot of curve going on here, this way and this way. So it's a really cool camber profile, especially for powder, because there's just so much rocker. And then when it's bent up like that, it just moves so much easier in the powder. Now let's get into some width measurements, because the readers have requested this. They want to know how wide it is off the tail inserts and nose inserts, so people can determine if their boot size and bindings will work with these boards. You want to ride this though definitely a lot wider than you normally do, and you know, it's not necessarily a wide board. It's more of just a regular board that needs to be ridden much wider. This is a 29 centimeters off the back insert, just about 28 off the front, and off the back insert on the front you're looking at about 28.6, 28.7, and then you're looking at almost 30, probably 28.9, 28.8, somewhere around there. Now, when you're talking about setback on board, you're looking at, for a little 147, I've done got the tape measure out before the camera came on, and we're looking at a 22.75 inch stance width set all the way back, which might be wide for some at a 147. But at that stance width, you're looking at, from the tail, the very end of the tail, to the back inserts, and the nose to the back inserts, you're looking at 14.5 inches difference between nose and tail. And then 7.25 inches back from center of board, which is just massive. That's so far back. And then if you're to measure from the swallowtail in the center, it's a very mellow swallowtail, but it is a decent hack out of the center. You're looking at a difference between nose and tail to the back inserts of 19 inches or 9.5 inches back from center of board. So it's kind of somewhere in between, because that swallowtail isn't totally all that, but that is so far back on board, and it really is truly, like, not only does it have surf rocker, a surfy shape, but it's also riding really far back on the tail. So that's what makes this board super surfy in powder, and it's kind of like riding, I'd say like riding a fish. It feels like that way to me, at least. you know, a fun, dynamic fish, but, you know, feels like a twin fin, kind of loose, playful, slashy, very close to being a surfboard. And then on top of it, you know, these Jones bases, these centered 9900 bases, which I believe this is what the Storm Chaser has, just like the Mind Expander and some of the other high-end boards like the Carbon Flagship and others like that. It's just so fast and so glidey. It's one of the fastest bases I've ridden at this price point. It just comes so well waxed. I haven't even waxed it yet. It's just still so moist and just ready to go. I'm going to give it one more wax though, but it's just such a it has such a good glide to it, and I think I wish every base was like this. But and also I love that there's only just a little bit of die cut right at the top. The rest is all black, so when you gouge it, black P-Tex will fix it perfectly. So there you have it. That's the 2020 Storm Chaser under the pretty light.